Welcome to the second session of Citibank, New York, 1994 to 1998. Uh, we had moved to New York, and now the key was to start understanding USA. So one of the things we had to do was buy a car. And when I investigated buying a car, and then I found out because I didn't have a driving record and I didn't have a credit record, then the insurance on a car would be extremely expensive. So we ended up buying an entry-level car, though we could afford a much more luxurious car, and ended up saving a lot of money. The other thing that we started focusing on pretty soon after settling in was trying to get a green card so that we would have flexibility and wouldn't be dependent on an H-1B visa. So the whole process of applying for a green card and getting a green card took a few years, but we had moved in 1994, and by 2003, not only had we got a green card, but we had become US citizens. So we did have a focus on making sure that our paperwork, etc., was done. The final thing, which quite a few people in the US who have parents of minor children do not realize, is the necessity of having a will, because in case both of the parents die, say like in a plane crash or a car crash, and they do not have a will where they say who will take care of their minor child, then the process of getting custody of the child can be quite cumbersome. And during that process, the child becomes a ward of the state and may have to stay with foster parents. So this whole process of understanding the country that you move to and understanding all the things that you need to do, how you need to function in that country, is very important if later on you are going to do some disruptive innovation in that country. We also used to visit India from time to time while we were in the US. And on one of our first visits, we were quite worried about our son Sahil, because now he was in the American school system, which was quite unfamiliar to us. And the American school system differed a lot from the Indian or the British school system at that point in time. And so when we used to visit and we met some of our friends and who had children of Sahil's age, then Sahil would hardly know anything compared to those children in terms of like if they were doing, say, 8 times table, he was doing like 2 times table. And things like that. So we were worried as to whether is he getting a good education? Should we actually move him to India and put him in a boarding school, or continue to have him in the US? So I actually went and sat and attended his 3rd grade class and saw how they were teaching, and saw that it was all about building self-esteem and building social skills and presentation skills. So their 3rd class grade project had to do a project on whales, where they had to write a small report with a bibliography. Then they had to present it, and it was recorded on video camera, and then they had to critique each other. So I came away quite reassured that the system was different, but it was pretty good. And we were then able to understand how the US school system worked. Now, in terms of the job, while I enjoyed the benchmarking and re-engineering job and things, but I was quite keen to get back to the line, because I didn't really like a staff job that much. And at that point, one of the only jobs which were available for international staff in New York, which was a very difficult job, was to head equity derivative operations. And this was a very, very tough job for me. I did it for about a year, but I found it really difficult and I was quite at sea. And then I got a lifeline from my old boss in India, who was now in New York, quite a senior person in the cash management division in New York, who sort of gave me a lifeline, and I was able to move back to cash management in New York. So that's all for this session. The story continues in the next session. Thank you very much for listening.